Hey guys, Dee here from the Chaotic Gardener. Got a nice cup of early morning tea in the garden for what feels like the first time in forever. And it is definitely chaotic. Sometimes I get like that. I feel like things just run away from me. And while I'm all for having a bit of a chaotic garden and doing things in less of an ordered way than other people, sometimes I do get to a point where the garden just feels like, oh, I'm a little bit overwhelming and my brain feels all over the place. So the intention today is to get in the garden, get a few chores done, like mowing, painting a fence and a gate, tidying some things up so that it feels a little bit more ordered and structured, and then in weeks to come sorting out my pathways in the vegetable patch and just getting things back on track. That's the nice thing about this time of the year, is that the grass slows down and everything just feels a little bit quieter and a bit more manageable. So the guy who helps me in the garden hurt his foot, so I am on my own at the moment, which is all good. I will do what I can, and I am actually so looking forward to getting stuck in. It's kind of one of those days that I've mentally prepared myself for. It's going to be a body aching but oh so satisfying day. Hardy Dar's saying good morning there. So for those of you who may be new to the channel and are just popping in for the first time today, my name is Dee. I am a mom, a wife, a teacher. I teach grade 1 at a local school and just loving it. On that, my grade 1s did orals yesterday for the first time, and I was literally floating on air because I was so proud of them. Their parents assisted them in the background to get everything prepared, and they just nailed it. They were incredible and so excited the whole week. Looking forward to it, counting down. I don't ever remember being that excited to do oral, so I am one super happy teacher. I dabble in the garden, have a little vegetable patch and some flowers that I like to grow. Would love to get into growing some cut flowers just to share with family and friends as well. So that's hopefully my plan for next year, but who knows, whatever happens. Looking at the garden here, it looks like it needs lots and lots of help, but all right. The reason I started a channel was just to document what I do for myself, and then figured to share it, and also just to encourage people to get out there and get in the garden. Find something, if it's not gardening, something that brings you joy and makes you feel happy. Life is tough and it's stressful, so we all need something that we can use as a way to let go and just feel human again, and gardening is it for me. And is gardening cheap? Not necessarily, but does that mean that we shouldn't do it? No, of course you must still do it. So for those of you who don't know, my journey started in COVID when a friend of mine came round and dropped off some seeds and told me that she was getting into gardening. And I've always enjoyed planting flowers, but I had neglected it for a while, so I got back into it again, and it just grew and grew and grew. And we weren't in the situation where I could get fancy wooden beds or metal beds, but previous owners of our house had done building on the house, and so there was lots of bits and pieces lying around the house, and that is what I used to make my garden beds with. So what I'm saying is, yes, it is expensive, and especially if you want to do it perfectly from the get-go, but sometimes that's part of the creativity and part of the fun, is using what you have and making the best of it. So do it slowly. If it's just one plastic pot plant, start with that, and build on that, and I'm sure you'll be creative and find ways to grow and make it happen. Once the bug bites, it bites hard, and then just enjoy the process, and you can get to a point, hopefully one day, where you have more. And when you have birthdays and Christmases, ask for plants, ask for seeds, and that's how you grow. So I thought I'd take you along as I do some mundane but oh so satisfying things, and hopefully by the end of the day the body might be broken but the heart will be full again. If you have not subscribed to my channel and you want to follow along on my journey to see the way I do things, sometimes I read up the right way to do it and do things completely different way. I do what I can with what I have, and I have success. I am proud of what I have produced thus far. So if you'd like to follow me on my journey and hopefully be inspired to start something yourself, if it's not gardening, something else, then do follow along with me. So Willow is enjoying the nice warm sun. So I thought what we would do is take a look at the chaos to start the morning. The grass needs a haircut. The dog, I don't know if you can see, is in the brassica bed. Would be nice if she could eat all the caterpillars for me, but she is instead destroying my brassicas, the ones that are left. Sometimes you just gotta let it go. Okay, so let's get on with the rest of the day. Dog destruction. Lucky for her, these zinnia have powdery mildew, so I was going to pull some of them out. I don't know why I suffer from powdery mildew so much. I mean, it's much cooler at the moment and we're not having extreme amounts of rain, so I don't know. Venus, out of the brassica bed. Venus, out. Okay, so we need to mow, but the ground is still wet from the dew of last night, so I'm going to hold off on that. I am going to get out the paintbrush and let's walk over there. We secured our side gate. That's getting some blooms on it, which is exciting. We have re-secured our side gate here, which goes to the back of the house, so that if we need to, we can lock the dogs up temporarily, and we are going to paint that black. So this custard apple tree I would like to take out of this container so that I can use it for my blueberry bush to go inside. I think it will give it a little bit more room to grow, a little bit more breathing space, and I'd like to transplant the custard apple into this section here. I have a naartjie further down. Here is a lemon tree, and I think between those two, quite close to the fence, I'd like to try and espalier the custard apple tree and then eventually the naartjie tree as well. So that is my plan, and we shall see how it goes. I was having a look at it the other day. It's grown so beautifully in here, but I do think it's going to get to a point where it needs more room too. There is one branch that could be the leader, and then if we go in here, let's have a look. So if I chop off this branch here, this could be my leader branch, and then I can take this one away, and this can be one branch that goes along, another branch that goes along, take that one away, and then these two can go along, and we can just keep climbing up that way. So that's my plan, to see what we can do with that. I think espaliers are really beautiful, and I think that would be a pretty one to do, and fairly simple for a first timer. Okay, so we have got some creosote here, which we are going to put onto this gate. I don't think creosote is the right thing to use if you are staining garden beds. I think it would be quite toxic to what you're growing. So this gate is a bit of a, it's got lovely wood that has been made from, but it's not perfect, and like a wood maker's glory, I don't know what you would say, but it's special to me. My dad made this. My dad passed away a couple of years ago now, and he stayed with us about 6 months before he did pass away, and he put this gate together for us because at the time our ridgebacks were still puppies, and we needed to be able to keep them from running out of the front gate. So we built this for us. So it's got sentimental value, and it's very strong, and again, like I said, while it might not be a carpenter's masterpiece, it has stood the test of time. And I'm quite sentimental about things like that. Painting this gate, thinking about my dad. I remember when he stayed here, I wasn't into vegetable gardening anyway at the time, and he would eat cherry tomatoes. And this area out the back here has always kind of been like a bit of a patch garden bed, but nothing actually there, and he would throw the tomato seeds out here at the back, and I was horrified at the time that he could do that. You know, when you have your own house and you have different thought processes to what your parents' thought processes are, and I certainly didn't want a vegetable random garden out the back of my kitchen door. And yeah, I was most disgusted that he would even think of doing such a thing. And then I decided to start my garden bed here, to which I was told that it would never grow because there was not enough sun, and it hasn't been the most productive area because there isn't a lot of sun, but it's done fairly well, and I'm glad I have embraced some of his chaos in allowing a garden bed to go in the front of my garden, because I have gained so much joy from it. So nice memory. she never did stuff like that when she lived at home. And my mom's saying, yes, but it's hers, so it's meaningful to her, and that's why she's doing it. Kind of kept that close to my heart as I've grown as a mom, reminding myself that while my children may get frustrated if I ask them to do something, which actually they never have. They've been pretty good children, so, but still I've kept it close to my heart in case they ever did. Trin's not a fan of weeding. When she was little, she did make a bit of a scene, and when I say little, she was really little, about 5 years old, because she didn't like the spiders that were in the garden bed. But yes, I've just remembered that while they may not like doing the chores that we ask them to do, and it's still important that we ask them to do those chores and that they do them, that one day they will be adults too, and they will appreciate the value of those chores because they will be theirs, and there will be more meaning attached to it. So while I might find it meaningful to be painting this gate, my children might not find that meaningful. While I enjoy being in the garden, that's not something that they enjoy doing. But what we do and the enthusiasm that we put into the things that we do is definitely viewed by them and taken to heart by them. Ethan now, while he's not in a position to have his own house or anything like that, is thinking about, one day I'm going to have a garden and I'm going to have a vegetable garden. And that's not something he's ever bought into growing up. But I don't know, maybe I've just made a positive difference there. Who knows? Just have to pause and show you this eggplant. This is an eggplant. The seeds were given to me by my nephew from Thailand. It's looking really good and healthy there, and these are also a little bit smaller but looking good. I think I need to stake that one a little bit. So excited to see what I get from those. Hey guys, job number 2 is this fence. It is falling apart. It has been up there for, let's say, 15 years, if not longer. Rob actually built it, put it together there, and so some of those some of the horizontal planks are coming off the main pole, so I'm just going to hammer those back on and secure them. It is hiding a world of disaster behind it, but we won't go there and talk about that. One day that will be cleaned up, but right now we focus on the pretties. So hammering is not my strength. Lots of things are not my strength, but I have a hammer and some nice long nails, and let's get to this. hear you all thinking, move the plank away in the first place. But that's not how my brain works until things actually fall on me. I knew that I should do that, but I just don't. Job number 2, done. There we go, so that's looking nice already. I have removed 2 planks, one from the very bottom, which I don't think I need to put back at the moment, and one from the top, which again I also don't think I need to put there, so I'm just going to keep them somewhere safe in the meantime until I may or may not need them at a later stage. But that is satisfying. That looks nice and together again, so that kind of is a big tick to calming the mind. I'm going to give this one more season where it is this rose. It's a Sally Ann, and it's had a few blooms this season, so I think I will leave it there and see if next season we get more. But if we do, I may trail a couple of those branches along the top of the fence. But I'm also hoping that that bean plant grows up there. I do need to get behind the fence and clear that section over there so that it is free and the plants on this side have room to breathe. This tomato, it is looking really good and really healthy, the healthiest I've ever had a tomato bush look. And this is where I got my first little clump of tomatoes from. So I have had 1 or 2 that I've pulled off and munched whilst in the garden. It's not that I have never had any tomatoes, but not a whole clump all ripe at the same time, which I had on my Instagram feed a picture of it the other day. A very teeny tiny bunch. I think there were only 4 tomatoes, but it felt good anyway. So I think I'm going to prune that up, give it a little bit more room and air for growth, and we shall see if it continues to thrive in the cooler season. Now, apparently many different thought processes to keeping tomatoes. Some people like to have a main branch and then only have a few suckers off those branches. Some people just think during some seasons they just leave their tomato plants to go wild like this kind of thing, and they have brilliant success. I'm having great success here as well. It is just coming into the garden. So I'm not going to clean up too much of the top growth. I'm going to leave, I think. I'm just going to clean up at the bottom there where there's quite a few brown leaves, and then I might pinch off 1 or 2 suckers. So a sucker is, so for those of you who don't know, a sucker is when you have a branch, you have your kind of your main stem growing, and then in between 2 stems like that you have a little sucker that comes out. That is kind of what people generally tend to pinch off when they are young, even when they're bigger. So here you can clearly see this one has got a little bit big. This is the main branch here, this is a side branch, and the one in the middle would be your sucker, and you just can pinch it off. When you do pinch it off, try and not pull the skin of the tomato, because then you are creating a space for germs and disease to go in. But that would be your sucker. Now your suckers you can either throw away, or you can take this and you can put it into soil and it will root and you will get a new tomato plant that you can grow. So they're not a waste of time, particularly when they're that size. It is quite nice. So I'm just going to pinch off a few of those suckers and tidy up at the bottom of the tomato plant so that there is more air circulation for the rest of it to continue to be as healthy as it is. That would be exciting. I'm actually even thinking of planting some black crim tomatoes and seeing if I have better luck during this season. The one technique I really do want to try with tomatoes is where you have a trellis kind of along the top, and you take string from the root and attach it to the top of the trellis, and you have a leader that you keep twirling around the string with just a few suckers coming off. I would really like to try that one year, maybe not with the yellow pear tomatoes, but with a bigger variety. I just need to build something, which I could do over here. I need to get it going. Put it on the list. I was thinking the other day that if you go into gardening, there should be a warning that says, beware, gardening will lead you down other paths. So I have just found that from the joy that I have received of gardening, obviously it opens up the potential to do canning and preserving of the food that you grow, which leads you to pickling and sourdough starters, and what you can do with herbs for medicines. So yeah, disclaimer, gardening leads to other things that will take up your time and your money. But bring you as much joy. Oh, I'm devastated. Last year I grew sprouting broccoli, and this year I really wanted to just grow some nice heads of broccoli. I have in the past, so I'm by no means am I giving up now, but it just sets me back a while. But look, first of all we have doggy damage and then aphids and caterpillars munching. Sometimes when you harvest a broccoli, you can get a second flush. So I think I'm going to chop back some of these leaves and see if it will regrow from there. So let's see. I don't mind experimenting. Nothing's perfect in life, certainly not in my garden. And actually for me that's part of the fun. I have the luxury of this being a hobby for me, so it's not necessarily something that I have to feed my family off of or be doing to make money at this stage. One day maybe I'll be able to sell something if I ever get it right. So everybody's in a different situation. I think even if you are making a livelihood of your garden, have a spot where you can experiment and do crazy things, out the box things. See how far you can push yourself. I don't think allow me just to do that, so I am going to attempt to move the whole container closer to where I'm going to plant it and then pop it out on the grass. I'm happy to move the hedging out that way, so I have kind of dug a little bit under there, but I do need to leave space behind here to eventually erect poles and a wiring system for the espalier to go up. So I think that's enough space behind there if I plant it further forward, just to give the root space and hopefully to not affect the wall. Here's hoping. Okay. And we want to line it up. Dig it out a little bit more. I think that is the way. I want it to be. This would be the leader with the branches going off. Pack it in nice and tight. And now we're going to take the container over to the vegetable patch where we can transplant the blueberry bush into it. There you have it. Trin helped me, we rolled it here. Our original technique didn't work. Nicely. Time to clean it up. that is going to be it for today. Trin and I ended off the afternoon scrubbing and cleaning the veranda because we've decided we're going to have a braai and a bonfire tonight, so everything is looking good for that. But thank you for joining me on my journey of today of being oh so satisfied with the progress that I've made in the garden. Please do subscribe and follow along if you want to continue on this crazy journey of mine, as I mess up, clean up, and have lots of fun in the garden. I hope you have a wonderful week. Until next week, bye.